Hello and welcome to NFT Decree. I'm Barry and we're going to be taking a look at the new vampire cards for Dark Country. So these are all the spoilers, but packs are open now. I'm just waiting on the Flow blockchain updating with my stuff so I can actually see what I've got. But we'll go over kind of what they've revealed here and I'll give you some sort of first impressions on them. Now, Dark Country have launched a new sort of Chronicles subdomain. It's got kind of their news and updates and all that kind of stuff on there. Worth checking out, but they haven't gone... this first set of vampires was much larger than the others. So we'll run through it anyway. Doesn't matter. Here's what we're talking about. Blastmaster, right? 2 cost, Destructive Horde. 2/2, fine. 2 for 2/2, about right. Last word, deal 1 damage to all creatures. I mean, the pros and cons, depends what you got on the board. If it's the only thing you got down, then theoretically it can take out a 3 health if it hits you back for 2 and get some other damage on the board. Also useful for triggering things like Banshee, and if you are running this, I mean, you can't run this with Sombra. But if your opponent has it, then that's, you know, a potential board wipe. So this, I mean, maybe combine it with Fire Demon, you get a couple of damage off, or you got 2 of these and you can get you can start wiping out cultists with perhaps a little bit more investment than you'd like, but it's an option. Now I do want to talk about the art. Right, when I first saw this, I thought it was fan art, or I thought because it was during the sort of fan art competition, it looks so cartoony compared to the rest of it. And actually, I don't know why they first showed us these bits of these cards, because this and this, I mean, this looks unfinished, right? So the art on Blistering Witch here just looks... It was not of the standard that the rest of the art is, and I was worried that the whole vampire set of art was going to look like this, but thankfully we'll see later that they kind of picked it up. Anyway, Blistering Witch is a neutral, 5 cost, 5/10, so those stats are phenomenal. And this creature loses 1 health at the end of every player's turn. So this is almost certainly worth it. I mean, it's going down by 2 a turn. End of your turn, it's already a 5/9, right? So already a thing. Then by the time it's your turn again, it's a 5/8, assuming your opponent's not hit it. It would be possible, I guess, to use a mute on this. So whatever, some things let you mute your own creatures, and then you'd get to keep the high stats. But wasting a mute on, not wasting a mute, but you know, using a mute on your own creatures is typically suboptimal versus putting a mute on a piece that your opponent's playing. But it could be, you know, it's quite strong. And certainly 5 for a 5/9. You're going to get a couple of hits off with it. Keeps it out of range of board wipes, keeps it out of range of a lot of sort of damage spells. So you'll usually get at least a swing out of it. So it's pretty decent. Whether or not this is not as much of a downside as it might initially seem. But of course it still dies to Fatal Strike. It still dies to a lot of sort of the bigger hitters. If you get hit by an owlbear, you're already down to like 3. And then, you know, you can just exchange at that point. Then Departed Shaymin. Again, so this art was okay. But it's still a little bit, you know, it's a little bit cartoony, it's a little bit less involved than some of the other pieces of art from Dark Country. But this is your first, yeah, that's your first vampire, right? So this is set's all about vampires, and this is your first vampire. So 2 cost, 1/3, okay, about average, neutral. Last word, give target creature +2/+1. So this has obviously got a reasonable home already in Destructive Horde. Just there, they've already got a handful of buffers along these lines. Last words to buff everybody or to buff certain things. This is okay, might see a place in there. It's got a vampire tag. Vampire tag does some things with this new set. But is it strong enough on its own? I think it's an option, right? It's not necessarily the card you're going to immediately slot in to every deck for 2, but it probably has a place, and probably in Destructive Horde. In fact, I don't really know why it's not Destructive Horde. I mean, there's nothing super thematic about it that would mean it shouldn't be neutral, but theme-wise, it kind of fits into that a bit more. Then Essence Mender. So again, I mean, we're still in the slightly less detailed art, but this one's kind of a step up from the previous ones. But Essence Mender, a ghost, right? So ghost tag, gives some support to that. 3 cost neutral, 1/4, so stats are about right. But when this creature deals damage after attacking, create a blood flask. Now I can't actually remember what a blood flask does. I think so, and it's not mentioned anywhere, right? So there's your first problem, Dark Country. Actually put what your cards do out there if you're not just looking for rampant speculation. I think it heals a vampire completely. So I think it heals a vampire card, but I can't quite remember. But when it deals damage on the attack, right? So not on defense, but when it deals damage on attacking, create a blood flask, and that could be damage on the creatures or heroes. I don't know how this one's going to play out. I mean, it's ghost, right? But it's supporting a vampire archetype, so it's not going to get kind of any buffs from those necessarily. You may be chasing down a couple of different things. How strong blood flasks are going to be, also unknown at this point. But you know, even its stats are okay. Like a 1/4, it's not great, right? You'd probably want like a 3/4 for 3, but with the effect, I guess it's got to have some sort of impact on the meta to see any play. And then Anton. So Anton's back into the kind of level of cards that I would expect from Dark Country, but he's another vampire. 8 cost neutral, 2/8, so his stats are a little bit, you know, underwhelming for what he is. But on deploy, deal 1 damage to all enemy creatures, and then add that to your hero's health. So assuming your opponent has a whole bunch of cultists again there, like let's say they've dropped because it's at turn 8, right? So Ray's dead. They dropped 8 skeletons. You could play this guy. You could wipe their board, doing 8 damage, and you can gain 8 health. So the potential here is to gain 8 health. I would say probably on average you're going to gain 3 health. But the 1 damage to everything again, maybe it's important, maybe it's not important, maybe it helps you take out some things. Reasonable, it's only a rare. 8 cost is quite pricey though, so you'd have to have a particular strategy around it. Because it's neutral, then you can play it with Sombra out of cultists, not cultists, out of what is she even in? Destructive Horde, or is she Crusaders? I can't remember. But then, you know, it's just another card with a decent enough body, decent enough stats to survive, and we'll have to see how important the vampire tag becomes with the other support cards. So this was the first lot that they dropped. Then let's drop the other one. So we'll zoom back out so we can see the other cards. So here's a whole bunch of the commons, and we'll just run through this quite quick as well. So items. Armor of Gorta, 3 cost. So neutral card, item, gives you Fortify and Bloodsteel. So Bloodsteel is the one that when you deal damage, it also, right, so in addition to dealing damage, heals your hero for the same amount of damage inflicted. So ordinarily, it's only when you attack, but this will let your Bloodsteel work when defending. So when you're hit, you'll also get the health added onto your hero. Now, not 100% sure yet. Like here's Bloodsteel. This is an ability that causes damage dealt by a card to also restore that much health to the controlling player's hero. So it's not gain health, but it's restore health, right? So if you're already taking a couple of hits, you can go back up, but you can't go above 40 with Bloodsteel, as far as I'm reading this one here. Then you've got Blade of Graves, another item, 2 cost neutral. Just add 4 attack. Fine. Sometimes you need that. Now it's not as good as Axe Gun, right? Because it doesn't give you Guardian, but it also comes in cheaper. So that's the trade-off. Plus this is in neutral. So this just gives you more options for killing owl bears at this point. But there'll be other things with decent health and low-cost slots. So you might want to be thinking about putting some Blade of Graves in as well. Then you've got Soul Warden, another vampire, 3 cost neutral, 3/3, so pretty much on the money. But with the last word ability to give target creature Bloodsteel. So when this gets wrecked, right, when this is destroyed, then you can give another creature Bloodsteel to hopefully get like health back. So if you got this out, once you've also got a big creature down, then your opponent has to be careful about killing this, because it doesn't want to give bloodsteal to your larger creature. And you can even trigger that yourself, right? You can go for the swing with this to give your creature bloodsteal. Excuse me. I do think I preferred that when it was called vampirism, but bloodsteal's fine. Then another vampire, neutral, 5 cost, the patient one, 6/1. So heavily skewed on the attack side of things. Has guardian, so it can take a hit even though it's only got one life. Bloodsteal, so it's going to heal you up for a pretty decent amount there with its 6 attack. And last word, deal 4 damage to random enemy creature. So definitely got a whole bunch of abilities for the 5. Theoretically, its stats are probably pretty good even for 5. And it just kind of really good sort of support and mid-range piece. Definitely think it's got some place in some deck somewhere. Then Band of Mergoth, another item, 2 cost neutral. Whenever another creature dies, gain +0/+3. So this is going to really, if you got that on the patient one and you were able to kill things, suddenly you're able to survive quite a reasonable amount of damage. Like this could get out of hand with a weenie board, again cultists or maybe destructive horde. If you're doing a lot of board wipes. Now I do worry it will make some things outrageous out of Ancestral Guard with their board wipes. If you wipe out 4 creatures and you get +12 onto something, because this isn't super expensive, right? These are really annoying. Like they need to get rid of this. If you dump this on, I don't know, something. Let's just say it's the patient one. It's turn 6 or turn 7. It's turn 6. You play the patient one. Turn 6, you drop Band of Mergoth, and then you play Fire Spirit. You wipe out 4 creatures. Suddenly you've got a 6/13 with Guardian and Bloodsteal. So that could be pretty wild. It obviously requires a particular setup, but it doesn't seem outrageous that that's the kind of thing that could happen relatively frequently. Right, then we've got Light Wielder, 3 cost Ranger, 3/4, so already stats bang on. And then on deploy, if there's an enemy vampire in play, gain +0/+2, so it becomes a 3/6 if there's an enemy vampire. So this is definitely going to see play. Not definitely, but it's probably going to see play in the vampire meta. So when everybody gets access to the cards and playing them, because a 3 for a 3/6 is just pretty good. And then if you assume that Rangers have a whole bunch of items to make their guys better, definitely worth a consideration in the 3 cost slot. Then we've got another vampire, Mistrider, 5 cost neutral, 4/6 bloodsteal. So 5 for a 4/6, already okay. And the bloodsteal, just like a lot of these games are going to go longer now, right? Bloodsteal is just going to keep pushing people's health back up. And so could be really useful, or really going to change the meta, because people can't just swing for face now and then hope to totally wipe you out immediately. But remember, Bloodsteal typically only works on attack, so if they play a Bloodsteal creature, you need to be able to take that out before it can attack you, which is fine, because that still has the effect of lengthening the game a little. But I didn't particularly mind the pace of the game, so I need to really see how this affects the whole meta. Like if people are going to turn 25 regularly, yeah, I see that as a miss. But we won't know until the cards are playable. Then Rock Sentinel, a 5 cost neutral, 5/3 with Guardian and Fortify. Now you don't necessarily want Guardian and Fortify, but it does have a place. You would probably have to be stalling for a 5 cost Guardian Fortify, so we know that we're thinking that games are going to go longer, so it definitely might have a place. Definitely might. What am I talking about? It probably got a place in some decks, but again, I have to see how it plays out in real life. Then we've got the Slayer, where we've gone back to this kind of half-finished art look. Excuse me. 3-cost Cowboy, 4/3, so it's the other side of the Light Wielder. It's a 6/3 if there's a vampire in play, so it's more aggressive and this is more defensive. Depends kind of what you want for your deck, and like I say, with Rangers, you can certainly add items to people to strengthen them, probably on both sides of the attack and health equation. Then last couple of cards for this reveal: Vampire, Thirsty Sleeper, 3-cost neutral, 2/3 with Bloodsteel. Seems fine, like 2/3's okay-ish for 3. Well, it's not great for 3, I suppose, but with Bloodsteel, it just stops that early aggression from kind of grinding you down. It can survive against, 2/3 will take out a couple of cultists whilst healing you, so just stopping them running over you, I suppose. Then the Werebat's a beast and not a vampire. 6-cost neutral. It's a 5/3 with both Frenzy and Bloodsteel. So this is probably my pick from this whole set of cards, set of commons here. Because that could easily be a 6-cost 10-life swing. Which is pretty huge. Now obviously your opponent losing 5 life and you gaining 5 life is very different from you doing 10 damage, for example, or from you gaining 10 life. But it is reasonably, that's a quarter of the game almost at a 10-point life swing out of one card at 6 cost. So this could be pretty bananas, particularly if you can get something else on it. Let's say you're playing this out of Crusaders. I know you're going to have to spend on it, but 6 cost plus say a 4 cost whip, you swing for 9, you gain 9 health, you get 2 oboes, so there's another 4 health. Could be a saviour. Like, you can keep that in hand till late game, your opponent thinks they've got the win, you're able to sneak it and stay alive and go deeper into your game plan. So we'll have to see how it goes. Like I say, with Bloodsteel, I don't know if it's going to extend the game to be too long and no fun, but we'll find out again once cards are playable. Right, more to go, and again another different format for showing the cards. Sure, why not? Is this the right size? Yeah, it's all seeable at least, right? I can maybe zoom in this time instead of zooming out. So here, Blood Hornet, 4 cost neutral, 2/1. It's got Frenzy for 4, so 2/1 Frenzy for 4 is not brilliant, but last word, heal a target vampire fully, so it's like the Blood Flask or the Blood Jar, I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, it would take something out, right? It would take out a Liquidator when it comes down, and if you've got a reasonable vampire you want to keep alive that's taking a couple of hits, then you can use that. Now if you've got that in conjunction with the ring, again, you might have this massive creature that your opponent's struggling to deal with. Brainwash obviously gets rid of it, and Sinful Shepherd will just convert it, things like that. But if the only way of getting through it is pure damage, then they're just going to have to ignore it, because they're never going to get through it with things like this healing and the blood flasks. But obviously it has to be a vampire, right? Then spell. Is this the first spell? Maybe not. 2 cost neutral, Blood Moon Stomp. Target friendly creature fights target enemy creature. So this is useful for getting around Fortify. This is useful for powering up your Butcher before it attacks. Useful for getting your getting a second Bloodsteel off of a large creature, maybe. Definitely a lot of uses for this. Reasonable utility card. I don't think most people are going to find a spot for it, but I do think it will have a deck that's kind of based around maybe everything that we've discussed, with vampires, just killing things and getting buffs. So we'll see how that one goes. Again, like I said, it's tough without being able to play the decks. So then we've got our next Destructive Horde, Undead, Bony Balladeer. 4 cost, 3/3, so okay-ish. And whenever you gain health, enemy hero loses health. So if this is just on the board as a support, then you know your Bloodsteel's doing even more work. Now this couldn't have been neutral, right? Because if you put that into Crusaders, then all the robots are healing for 2 and dealing you 2 damage. So you know it'd be a very quick game if that were available to Crusaders, but it is obviously faction locked. But with all the Bloodsteel, and even out of Undead, it's pretty strong because you've got your Bat Swarm, you've got your Raining Blood. Once that cemetery, no, what's it? Like Grave Mother. I can't remember. Once that works, you know, there's some more healing. Like there's a reasonable amount of healing in Destructive Horde already. I think it'd be broken in Crusaders, but I think it's already going to be quite strong in Destructive Horde. Then another spell, Brawl. So 2 cost, neutral. Give all creatures +2/+2 and end your turn. So you're obviously not going to play this until you've managed to smack down or keep your enemy's board low. Now being neutral, again, and a spell, Ancestral Guard is probably going to like this, right? They're going to be able to go for the board wipe, hopefully have something on their side of the board, and then just at the end of their turn, I'll just throw in a Brawl to make my creatures tougher. But it's also probably going to be pretty good out of Cultists, because they struggle to gain health. And they also spit out a lot of Cultists on a single turn. So you can probably be at an advantage for giving +2/+2. But actually, I suppose, having said that, doesn't make that much sense, because even though you're getting +2 health, you're giving their opponents +2 attack. So really only Ancestral Guard, where you're the only person with things on the board for this one, would be best. Then an item, Bloodfang, 2 cost neutral. Whoever it's on gets +2/+2. Right, so adds is just effectively the item is giving you the +2/+2. And if you remove the item, then you obviously lose those benefits. And when you deploy it, wielder gains Bloodsteel until the end of this turn. So it could just be it's a one-off. It's useful as a heal. You've got a creature down, your opponent's not managed to take care of it. You drop a Bloodfang, gets +2/+2 in general, but you're also going to get that extra 2 health from its attack, and the +2/+2 could be enough to take out something on your opponent's side of the board. Then our first epic card here. Oh no, we've had other epic cards. I've just been ignoring them. Another Vampire, the Eternal Heir. 4 cost neutral, 1/5, so not that impressive stats. But whenever this creature takes damage, if it is not destroyed, heal this creature fully. So there's something that might benefit from Mergoth's Ring, right? If you can make that a 12 damage or 12 health or even more, and then you need another item to make them worth attacking with, but it's pretty good just always being at full health. Also, avoids banshees pretty much. Avoids sort of board wipes, like you're just never getting this down. So again, brainwashes are what you want. Cat ladies with a Sinful Shepherd to take care of them, or Fatal Strike. Take them out. Then this Masquerade Ball type thing. So Craven Visage or Craven Visage. Item, 4 cost neutral. Gives Bloodsteel. I think there should be a full stop after that. And then Wielder's Bloodsteel damages enemy hero instead of healing yours. So this is a legendary card. Definitely the first legendary card we've looked at. It effectively doubles the damage if you're swinging at a hero with this creature. Could be bonkers. Could be okay. I mean, like four's not unreasonable. Like you keep a hold of that till later on you drop something. There's definitely something you could do with that. All pretty powerful. I mean, I wonder if, again, maybe a frenzy deck out of Crusaders, you play you know, the Raging Bull. Is it Raging Bull? What is it? Burning Cow. One of the two. Drop a Visage on it. You swing for 10. And yeah, there's quite a lot of damage to be done. Then last spell for this round, 6 cost neutral, Crippling Curse. Deal 8 damage to target creature. Now that's necessary because, you know, the health scale is kind of going up here. And then heal your hero's health equal to the damage dealt. Now obviously typos, but get fixed at some point. So I'm presuming this works in that if you hit a 4 cost creature or something before health, you only get healed for 4. So you're looking to hit something with 8 health to get the maximum value out of this. So 6 cost spot removal, potentially, and up to 8 health restored. You know, 6 isn't a bad cost for that. Got to have a place in some decks somewhere. Maybe, you know, if we were looking at Brainwash being difficult to get a hold of, this is a possible substitute. Would definitely take out this guy unless he's got extra health or whatever. It takes out a lot of things. Like 8 damage just takes out a lot of things. Won't take out Barricade because it's spell immune, but there's a lot of things that it just deals with. So yeah, definitely got a place. Then the last set of cards here. So we have, maybe I'll have to go back to normal zoom. We've got Night Mistress Carmilla, so it's almost the poster lady for vampires here. And again, another sort of decent quality bit of art on there. Vampire, 5 cost neutral, and 2/5 on her stats. Now she is mythic, so, and she's also unique. If you can see that under the stupid. I'm never going to share this. I'm never going to share this. Turn it off. Or if I'm going to share it, I don't need these buttons. Unique. So it's only going to be one of them, but double the health gain from Bloodsteel. So there's some interesting combos like that. The Masquerade, right? That face mask thing. Would that double? If she was down, would that double the health? Like if he swung for 5, would it do 15? Is that a possibility? Unknown. We'll see how the interactions work, but if nothing else, it keeps you alive. I wonder if you don't necessarily need to have double health from Bloodsteel. I think Bloodsteel on its own is pretty strong, but it might let you do stuff. If you're playing this out of Destructive Horde again, because obviously you might want to play a lot of spells that injure you, you know, the sort of self-harm kind of decks where you pay 2 life to get the additional, or pay 4 life to get the additional zombies, or pay the life for the it's not very good. What is it? It's like somebody on a bear. But you pay life to put those down. If that theme gets developed, then maybe she's got a slot in a Destructive Horde deck. But otherwise, I'm not sure how strong that is or how necessary that is. Let's have a look at the last few that are in here. So, Waste Away. Just going back over to here. Should I zoom in again? Sure. Plus. Excuse me. So, Waste Away spell, 2 cost neutral. Root 1, come back to that, target creature, then deal 3 damage to it. So, Root 1 is now indicative of Root being able to be stacked. So you can now, if something said Root 2, it would be 2 turns of something being locked down before it could attack. Now, Root is actually stronger than I first anticipated, particularly the Treant with Root All, and the amount of times you can continue to abuse that. But putting something like Root, if this was Root 2, then that'd be too much, to be fair, at the cost. So 2 cost for 3 damage is about right for your, you know, your lightning bolts, your, what's it called? Bat swarms. And this does the same thing, like with an additional effect. So lightning bolt you can go for the face, right? You can hit the hero, so that's where the advantage of that comes in. Bat swarm heals you for 2 health as well. And this sort of Roots 1. I think if you're going to ever go above Root 1, it has to be on a spell. Like, it can't give you a body as well. or it has to be like pretty highly costed to keep something locked down for a couple of turns. But the possibility of root stacking is something very interesting, and something I half pushed for. Then we've got the Lunatics Blade, which is an item, 1 cost neutral, gives creature frenzy. So that might seem like it's nuts to some degree. Like you can drop anything, pay an extra 1, and it's got frenzy. That's phenomenal. But you're also looking at the card opportunity cost of putting it in the deck, right? So the opportunity cost for having drawing that card and it taking up a different slot for something else. So you need something. It would need to be worthwhile. This would be the kind of thing that you'd put in with the current version of Owlbears, but we're due a balance patch some point. So Owlbear's probably not coming down turn 2 anymore. But if it was, then turn 3 Owlbear plus Lunatics Blade to swing immediately would be a thing. What you might want to drop that on is something like a Raging Mermaid. Like you give it frenzy so it immediately hits, and then if your board was big enough, give everything +2 attack would be pretty decent. Then another vampire, but it also looks like a vampire werewolf if you ask me. But Lupo Razor Claw, 7 cost neutral, 4/7, with Onslaught and Bloodsteel. So this is another legendary. This is... So Onslaught's not doing a massive amount here, right? But it does mean that you'll always get sort of maximum value out of your Bloodsteel, because the damage will go through to the hero at the back. So you could just start picking off smaller things. But Onslaught doesn't see a lot of play, and I don't know if Bloodsteel's enough to change that. Again, is the vampire tag enough? Don't know. We'll have to see. Then 4 cost neutral spell, Mind Grab. Put a copy of target creature to your hand, mute initial target. So my wording on that one was mute target creature, then create a copy. Yeah, then create a copy. But either way, it still works. So you get something that your opponent's played to your hand. You still got to pay for it, of course, but and a mute. So it's effectively a card draw, but like a targeted card draw, which has got to be worth something, and the mute as well. So it doesn't have a body. So all of this that all seems pretty balanced. But I don't know what you'd want to play that on. Probably your opponent's unique cards, or even your own, because you could, if you've got something that has a deploy effect and you get a copy of it, then it could be pretty strong depending what that effect is. Then we've got a 2 cost neutral spell, Slithering Pit, and set creature's health to 1. Now there's an what's the word I'm after here? There is an unimplemented card, Succubus, which is 3 cost for I want to say like a 2/1 or something, that does the same thing, sets creature's health to 1 on deploy. So you're paying 1 less for this, and it's a spell, which can have some advantages in some places. To set a creature's health to 1, but this is just useful, again, removal tech, right? You play this and then you have to swing with something to take care of it. There's quite a few things in here that would take care of the current state of Owlbears. Like it wouldn't stop people playing Owlbears, but it would stop them being quite so dominant, I would say. But either way, this is a decent card for any other big bodies you might have a trouble with. Oh, there's one way of dealing with something that consistently buffs itself or consistently heals itself. If it only has 1 health, then much easier to kill. Soul Dealer, 5 cost neutral, 4/6, so pretty good stats. But at the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to both heroes. So obviously that's even Stevens. If you've got the better beatdown, this might be good in your deck. But also, if you're running, say, the Witch, I forget what kind of Witch, but the Cultist Witch, and then when you get damaged, you get a body. That's pretty decent as well. anything you can get additional advantage off. Plus, if you've got a vampirism deck, so bloodsteel, and you're healing up faster than your opponent can, then it's also got, it's also a possibility there. Then 6 cost neutral, Trio Infernum, 5/5. So it's got Fortify, so that people have to hit it. And then it's got Bloodsteel. And then Bloodsteel on this creature also works when it deals damage as a defender. So it also works on the defense. It's got a built-in whatever that thing that gave it on the defense was. So that could be okay. If you can keep that alive, then it's very powerful. So if you can get that ring on there again like that, I don't know how good this ring's going to be, but it seems like it might be pretty good. And you've also got all your heals for vampires. Oh, she's not got the vampire tag. Now that might be deliberate, but I wonder what would... I don't know, like taking out a single creature is not that much trouble. I don't think the vampire tag would break this, and I think it kind of needs that for what it's trying to do, really. But we'll see. Again, nothing's been played. We'll just have to see what happens. So Vampire, Vampiric Henchman, 3 cost neutral, 1/4, Stealth and Bloodsteel. So there's something that can spawn these, which is why this might be a little bit underwhelming for what it is. But it's not bad. It stays alive for the turn. It comes in stealth, so you can't give it an item before it's attacked. But if it stays on the board, then it looks like it could be a little bit annoying for a variety of reasons. But just being able to chip away, get a little bit of health back, it's okay, but better if you spawn it, I guess. I wouldn't necessarily want to put it directly into my deck. And then, why is this highlighted? And then we've got Beasts, Vile Centipede, 3 cost neutral, 4/3 Frenzy. I mean, that's started, it's above curve, right? And it could easily fit into a Frenzy deck that we've kind of done here. But 3 for 4, and any buffs to that is just going to help it. You immediately get the hit off. It takes care of a lot of things. If you need it for spot removal, it's slightly cheaper than the sort of 4 cost spot removal slot. It's common. You got 3 of them. It's a good card. I imagine that will see play in quite a few different decks. And then the last mythic here is a Ghost, Deranger. 6 cost neutral, 3/6, and friendly ghosts, again typo, have Bloodsteel. So this is an interesting-ish one. So support for ghosts, cool. More ghosts needed, and more ghosts need to do stuff. One-off, so you can't really rely on all your ghosts having Bloodsteel, but when you get it, it'll be pretty strong. So I don't have a lot of ghost cards. I don't own a lot of ghost cards, but hopefully will at some point. Trade. I need all the Exodus cards if anybody has tons sitting that they're looking to get rid of for much cheapness. But still, it's interesting, right? It just opens up a little bit of space for ghosts. Cool, it's mythic. If I can get a hold of one, then that's all I need. And it's unique. But I don't see it necessarily fitting into anything as things stand. But if balance changes happen, then maybe. Right, we've also got some... how many more cards have we got? There you go, sneaky peeky. Where is... Oh wait, did I miss some before? I did miss some before. Let's jump back. Right, I was going to say, because this is bonkers. 5 cost Demonic Tailor, neutral, 4/4, got Guardian, and damage prevented by Guardian on this creature is dealt to all enemies. So that's heroes and creatures. If you can somehow keep this alive, if you can stealth this so it can't be targeted, and you can choose what to hit on the next turn, then this is a pretty effective board wipe, or it could be a pretty effective board wipe. Could be nuts. Legendary card though. Yeah, I mean, could be crazy. Well, not crazy, but at least sorts the sorts the board out or does a really significant amount of damage. Then native Doomlock, 6 cost neutral. So you don't see a lot of natives in this set, but here's one. It's got Bloodsteel, and on deploy, set target creature's attack to 1. So kind of fine. I mean, it deals with anything. It deals with the other side where people's stats are getting out of control. If their attack's getting out of control, then you can hit the reset button on this. 6 is quite pricey because Bloodsteel is not going to do a massive amount for you, and it's not got a massive amount of health. But native tag's probably not doing anything for it either. So I guess I don't see this having a lot of play, but I'm sure some people will try it. Then Dusk Harlot, when you play a Charon's Oboe, Charon's Oboe, not a Sharon's Oboe, gain Bloodsteel until the end of your turn. So this is a Crusaders card, and it provides a little bit of support for Crusaders, really, for Charon's Oboes. At the moment, all they do is cost discounts, or Gunslinger obviously pings damage off them, or they pump up things in your hand. But this is now an onboard ability or another onboard ability for Charon's Oboes. 2 cost, comes out pretty easy. Helps you with healing. You know, if you've been hit for 3, you play an Oboe, swing with Dusk Harlot, and you've healed up, right? 2 from the Oboe, 1 for the Bloodsteel. And it should survive a turn because it's got 4 health. So if you get it early on, yeah, seems fairly reasonable. Now this is a card that I kind of came up with and said, look, we need this. Well, not this particular card, but something with this ability and something cheap. And it was to really kind of deal with the early game, open up the early game. But I have not thought this through. This card is going to be bananas. And if I can get 10 of these, put them in a deck, I absolutely would. So 3 cost neutral, Gorgon Kilgore, 1/2. You're like, that's rubbish. Those stats aren't very good. But it returns a target creature, right? So puts it back to your hand, then increases its cost to play by 2. Now I was thinking Owl Bears. I was like, well, you play this, and your Owl Bear takes a couple of turns to come out, and then no problem. But I didn't think about what would happen, or I thought about it for your liquidators. I thought about it for just like all your early plays, because it's cheap and it just slows you down. Like it doesn't stop you; it just slows you down. But with the strength of Pale Nun, and also I didn't really consider the late game with this card, and I think it's just going to be the fun piece, right? I think this and Pale Nun, and possibly Banshee, because you've got all these things now that do 1 damage. There's almost certainly a fun police deck going to come out of this, and I think I will be partially responsible for just trying to push for this effect, which probably didn't need to. It didn't need to happen. It didn't need to be this cheap. So hopefully we get this sorted, and if the game, let's see how it plays out again. But I think this will need a balance patch at some point, because I think it's going to be too much anti-fun. Right, then we've got Hell's Angel, 4 cost destructive horde card, 4/3, fine, about reasonable. And on deploy, deal 2 damage to enemy hero, then your hero gains that much health. Yeah. Like, comes out, does 2 damage direct that isn't preventable, and heals you back up. But fairly decent, fairly standard. With the Bony Balladeer, it's another heal effect, so some sort of combo there. There's got to be a heal effect destructive horde deck coming out of this, or at least getting towards building that. Then the Jagblade, 1 cost item, neutral. Whenever wielder kills a creature, summon a Vampiric Henchman. So that's where I said the summon was. And it's only 1 cost, doesn't add anything to your stats, but there's lots of things that we're now thinking are going to stay in play, and lots of things we're now thinking are going to benefit from creatures dying. So this could be a good way of stacking items on a creature whilst still building up your board. So it could be worth playing, pretty cheap, worth trying anyway. And then we've got, I'm not going to do anything, I guess. Open image, new tag. Right, so Kyrene Grimm, assuming that's how you say it. Vampire, 8 cost neutral. 8/8 Guardian. Last word, deal 8 damage to a random enemy creature. Now that could just hit a crappy 1/1, but it could also do a significant amount of damage. So, but 8 for 8/8's still okay. Guardian with Guardian, yeah, definitely good. And the last word's just like a bonus. And random enemy, creature, I was going to say, I thought random enemy, no, random enemy creature. This to me looks like it's been copied over from a adult movie. And then somebody stuck the wings on, which is why I forget the guy's name. Glenn, there's a comic book artist that did that, and he would take scenes from films and particularly adult films and draw over the top of them, because it all seems just a little bit too realistic in places, and it's gone a little bit overly sexualized there. But I mean, I'm not complaining, but if you want to attract a larger audience, maybe, a lot of people are attracted to this kind of aesthetic, right? Be they men or women, but no kids. Here we go, Blood Flask, boom. Right, so we're back. Back to here. So another ghost, right? So ghost archetype getting fleshed out. This one's Ancestral Guard, Reckoning Grimm, 7 cost, 5/7. And whenever this creature takes damage, deal 2 damage to random enemy. So yeah, I mean, that's a thing. It's an ability. Don't know how you abuse that necessarily, but could see some play. Then another ghost, Shadow Stalker, 3 costs, Ancestral Guard again. Whenever another friendly ghost is killed, draw a card. So if you can get this into shadows, right, stealth it at some point, just have it sit there while you build around ghosts, then you're always going to have ghosts. So that could be pretty cool. How you're going to take advantage of that, not 100% sure, but once I can see everything in situ, I'll do some sort of proper deck building. Well, then we've got a cheeky cultist, Shona Wraith. Now whether that's her name or whether she is a wraith, unknown. 4 costs neutral, 3/3, and when this creature kills another creature, draw a card. So a little bit more card draw coming in here, which I think has to happen if the games are going to be going longer. But yeah, we've got to be careful with not giving away card draw too much, I suppose. And that's not easy to get off, right? A 3/3 has to be on the board for a turn, unless you give it Frenzy, in order to get the card draw out of it, right? Then Cinder Pendant item, 2 cost neutral, gives a creature Bloodsteal. So that's just useful. Again, going back to Owlbears with their 6 attack. I mean, that's fairly reasonable. Or if you can get it on you get it on a butcher with burning coats, suddenly you can come back from the brink of death to fully healed without any problem at all. Then Blood Flask is a spell, 2 cost neutral, heal target friendly vampire fully. So there's not as many vampires in this as I might have anticipated, but there's definitely some vampires you're going to want to keep alive. And if you can generate this for free, I guess it's okay. But 2 cost is a little... You're not going to have a lot of room for playing it, I don't think, in a deck. But again, if the games are going longer, you got more mana per turn, because there's no cap on how much mana you get a turn. I guess it could be... Yeah, I guess it could be a thing at some point. Then spell, Cold Embrace, 0 cost, right? So any 0 cost spells got to be careful with it. Neutral. Give friendly creature a last word, draw a random vampire. So just kind of replaces itself, a little bit of deck thinning. Spells and spell draw. Maybe there's something you can do with that out of Ancestral Guard. You've got your Elusive Elias, is that what they said? Coming out, and you can, you get a card draw off that, and when you kill it, you get another card draw off it. So, yeah, it could be, yeah, I mean, that's probably where you go with that, right? You put it in AG, you play an Elusive Elias, you play this, you get your draw off after playing it. This could be turn 1. And then if your opponent kills it, then you get a vampire to hand for the later game. So, yeah, definitely something doable there. Then, thankfully, a couple of vampires to finish off to make the Blood Flask more useful. Nightwing, nothing to do with Batman. And in fact, looking a lot more like from the Underworld series of films. 3 cost neutral, 2/2. And on deploy, set target creature's health equal to the number of vampires in play. So it'll always be 1 minimum, because he's a vampire himself. But could be much more. So it's a little bit situational. You're going to want to control the board to get the most out of his effect. But again, that would be a useful, that'd be semi-useful for dealing with the current state of owlbears. I know I'm kind of harping on about that, but things will change. Once the balance patch comes, then I won't have to compare it to that as the early game anymore. And then the last one is the Rabid Wrangler. And round the Ragged Rock, the Rabid Wrangler ran. 6 cost neutral, 3/6, Guardian Bloodsteel. Yeah, decent, but I just noticed this. I just noticed this dog's face. This dog's face, fine. This dog's face, fine. This dog, well, he's kind of, barking. This dog's face. Haha. Look at it. Oh man. Can't stop. Right. No, do the video. Look at it. Ooh, what's wrong with me? Right, I'm not looking at it anymore. I've covered my eyes. I've got to close this window. Let me just close this window. Right, then let me scroll up. Honestly, it's so hard to draw animal faces. Like, I get it, like horses and dogs from the front, certainly. But like horse faces are so hard to draw. Oh man, that's pretty funny. That's pretty hilarious. The art's not bad on that one, but this one looks a little bit like the same person that did the other unfinished ones. But some of this art is back to being super cool. Fine, so that's it. So that's what we've got. Is that all the cards? Let's without giving 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 34 plus 11 is 45, and then 50. So that is all the cards. That is all the cards that are coming in this new set. How they're going to shake up the meta. I mean, they're definitely going to shake up the meta. There's a lot of good cards in there, and there's a lot of things that can be built now that couldn't be built before. So let's just see how it goes. Won't still be months away probably from having vampire cards implemented. Hopefully not that long. Hopefully, sometime in the next couple of months we'll get the new cards put in. But we're still, like I say, balance patch next week. Lands are still causing problems. I'll hopefully get the land for the flow stuff up in a bit. And game's just coming along slowly but surely. Obviously, I'd like it if it was going a bit faster, but is what it is. If the balance patch hopefully changes things up enough to make the game a little bit fresh again, rather than the same kind of meta that it's been for the last 60 days anyway, almost 90 days I think since the last patch update. But that's it. So until next time, this is NFT Decree signing off.